Hello, and welcome back to Can Angels Fly 1970. I'm Nancy, and I'm here to finish the third part of the series on the spiritual battle. In part two, I left off reading Psalms 23:4, which I'll recap on now. It says, Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. So, I know I went through a dramatization with this, what do you call it, scripture. And it just showed that between life and actual death, we are walking in a place, or we are in a place as we move forward in life where there are threats, life-threatening situations and influences upon our existence. And those threats are both geared toward the spiritual as well as the physical. And prior to that reading in the last video at the end, I was talking about I was in the spiritual world, getting in the spiritual world. And I want to focus more on things that kind of have to do with this channel. That's why I was starting off with, I started off with Mars, which is part of astrology, to kind of show the spirits or the demons or the influences or the principalities or the rulers or the powers that we're common with, but we don't know who they are. At least we didn't know who they are. Now we're getting to know. And as I start on part 3, I ask you to start really reflecting, like, what is a spirit? A demon? What is the evil forces? What are the influences? What are the principalities and the powers and the rulers? And I say this because I even mentioned Cupid. Again, that's something we considered very innocent. But he too is a part of this invisible energy that influences our lives one way or another. I was trying to think of other entities that we don't consider entities, but they are. But before we go there, I went to www.dictionary.com to get some definitions of the primary words associated in the spiritual world, based on biblical studies and principles. And the first word I like to define is principality, because that's one of the things that we wrestle against, not flesh and blood, but against principalities. So what is a principality? It says a state ruled by a prince. Just a state, a place, ruled by a prince, a ruler. It also says that the position or authority of a prince, a chief ruler, sovereignty, supreme power. This being, this principality means this being has been given jurisdiction over an area, or a people, or a spirit. It has it dictates what can go on within this realm. Okay, it gets to dictate what goes on with this realm. I'll give you an example. This is really loosely, I haven't thought about it until now, but like the birth chart, it is a principality because it rules over your life and your life experiences. It's been given jurisdiction to rule, to be sovereign over your life. Ain't that interesting? Anyway, the next definition Oh, before I move on, I also went to the thesaurus part to get other words that mean the same thing as principality or very similar. And it says sphere, section. So to govern over a section, to have sovereignty over a section, to have sovereignty over a sphere, to have sovereignty over a sector, to have sovereignty or dominion. That's another word that appears in the word. Or to have sovereignty over a kingdom or a domain. Now, the next definition I looked up is power or powers, because we wrestle good not against flesh and blood, but against powers in dark places, right? And dark places being unseen, invisible, and intangible. In power or power says ability to do or act, capability of doing or accomplishing something. It says the possession of control or command over others, authority, ascendancy. It also says legal ability, capacity, or authority. It also says delegated authority, authority granted to a person or persons in a particular office or capacity. Okay. So it's I grant you the power, or I charge you with the power. I give you the authority to do this. You know, like I talked about Satan, the devil, the serpent. He was given the power and authority to do what he does. But I'll come back to that when I speak about Saturn. And the last definition I looked up was the term ruler or rulers, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against rulers of the dark side. The dark side being what? The unforeseen, the hidden, the unknown. And it says for rulers, a person who rules or governs, sovereign. So, and it also said Lord in a thesaurus, Lord, King, Overlord. Okay, so that's where I'm going back to the planets. I started with Mars. The planets primarily associate with any sign of the zodiac or a house. Oh, yeah. That's what I didn't expect to see in the definition of rulers. It also said the planet, which we're going to go over, the planets. Remember I said astrology, going to deal in astrology. The planet primarily associated with any sign of the zodiac or any house of the horoscope. And the horoscope derives from the birth chart. And so remember I started and ended in the last video talking about, we went over the signs, the sun signs for life purpose or life journey. We also went over the houses, which were the stages where things are played out in this world, in this physical world. And now we're going to go straight into the rulers. I was so shocked to see that there, where it really pointed out horoscopes and the zodiac. But it is a person who governs. And so that's what the planets are. As I talked about the planets, I talked about shadow planets that really don't exist, cross sections in the sky, all these energy sources or powers or principalities and rulers. Now we're going to talk about the rulers of our zodiac signs, our birth signs, you know, and to understand that they rule, they have a job to do. And I read once in, I think it was in one of the books of the Apocryphon, that God gave each planet, every heavenly body, I believe it said, a job to do. And it talked about just how faithful these heavenly bodies are. Even talked about like the trees and the grass. the seedling, and how loyal they are. They do not detour from the job he gave them to do. They do it like the sun and the moon. And they rotation. They won't go out of rotation. He commanded them to do that. And they won't detour from it until an appointed time when he gives them other direction. And so here we go. Back to the rulers, because I'm starting off, I'll be on some other stuff. So let's talk about some of these governors that govern in the dark. We're talking a spiritual battle now. Well, first I talked about Mars. And Mars, and I'm going to go through them quick because I have a list of them. These are only a few. These are the basics, the traditional. But I'm going to just give you how they govern. This is what they push us to do and how they manipulate situations. Mars, again, is the warrior. He's aggression. He's forward movement. He's motivation. He's excitement. He's enthusiastic. And on the negative side, he's very impulsive. He can be murderous. And it can make, I don't want to start crossing him, but he makes you act before you think, you know. Very forceful. He has to do with knives and military and war. Okay, Venus, a goddess of love and beauty and harmony and peace and wealth and legacy and fine foods and fine drinks. It's a refined palate. Well, she, on the other side, when inflicted, again, can cause you to not be satisfied with you and your appearance. She can cause you to become greedy and obsessed with wealth and the attainment of wealth and of beauty. Again, I was talking about in the last video, plastic surgery. Being taken to an extreme. See, she can take you there. And I've seen videos on YouTube that show that people became excessively disfigured. And they walking around like, I done hit this all-time high in beauty. And they look like a monster. They look like the monster that manipulated them from the dark. That's a whole nother story. Everything I talked to you about, that I've studied and learned, it even goes deeper. But this is just basics, what 101. So, the next thing is, I talked about Earth and how its gravity holds us. That was one component of the Earth and how we're limited by it. Earth is a very low vibrational planet. It holds us. And the reason why we're held down, low vibration, low energy, it's the material world. It's everything that is tangible. Touch can be touched and seen. Taste, you know, heard. That experience that we interface with on a daily basis. So on to the next spirit. And as I named them, watch them walk across the stage of this video and take like a model. Here's Mercury. And Mercury is the planet of communications and intelligence and thought. We know that Mercury can make a genius, you know, but inflicted, it can also make an idiot. It can have you, as I was going to say with Mars, it can make you be belligerent, blunt, and have no proof in communications or in thought. The next model is Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is the gigantic planet, and it's known to expand things, to make them bigger and bolder. And Jupiter has to do with belief systems under the ninth house, belief systems, understanding, your understanding of the world, philosophies. Now, you can be die-hard religious. Let Jupiter blow that up. Then we have a fanatic. You understand what I'm saying? Well, Jupiter also can be one that expands your waistline. Have you ever seen somebody super morbidly obese? You know, I can see that being Venus and Jupiter working together. Venus is the good foods, that palate, and put Jupiter on top of it to expand it, to blow it out. And oh Lord, don't put the demon Rahu there where there's an extreme of obsession. Then you got super duper or morbidly obese, where those spirits have attached to that person's body, and their spacesuit is blown seriously out of proportion, due to a lack or loss of will. Note will. Will is also one of those entities. You can will yourself positively, or you can will yourself negatively. Will can elude you, and you can't stop smoking cigarettes. You can't stop taking drugs. You can't stop chasing the good loving or something, whatever. Let me stay on track. Okay, the next one is Saturn, and Saturn is it goes with Satan, and it also has to do with the sign of Capricorn. As well as Aquarius, but symbolically Capricorn. Now Satan, he has a job to do. He gets a really bad rap, but I don't think he's any worse than any other spirit or entity or principality or dark force out here. He has a job to do. God has defined his job, and he gonna do his job. And his job is to find your weak spot and play in it. That's what he does. What he wants you to do, well, what God wants you to do, is say, hey, I got to set a limit here. I got to follow some rules and regulations and have some boundaries. Because if I don't, Satan gets to play. You know, he gets to take control of me and bind me through drugs and sex and alcohol and just a lascivious living. He gets to bind me in poverty, not me, but you know what I'm saying. He gets to bind you in anything that is your weak spot. Name a weak spot. Start. I'll wait. I'll be back next year. Because there are so many avenues to weak spots. And it depends on the person. Everybody does not have the same weakness. Everybody doesn't have the same life experiences or traumas. So the devil, baby, he got a big field to play on. And he does his job. Now, if you are able to identify your weakness, and you are able to set up boundaries and follow the rules and take hold of will. You know, I'll use drugs as an example. People that are on drugs, will is something about that drug where will is taken from them. And that drug wills them to do what it wants them to do. Now, if a person that is struggling with drugs is able to do what Saturn is asking, you say, hey, my job here is just have you set up boundaries. You've lost your wife. You lost your car. You've lost your kids. Your teeth done fell out. You ain't got no hair. You're all fucked up. You got all kind of venereal diseases. You're living in the street. You weigh $105. I've done everything to you. Now, your job is, if you want me to stop, is you got to say no. You got to set up some boundaries. You got to limit some stuff. You got to cut some stuff out. And that person that's all messed up, could you just see it? Could you just see it? The wheel is gone. Satan playing. And they a hot mess. They 2 steps away from the grave, from the tomb, from the prison, and the separation from the all. Say it. And it happens not just with drug abusers. It happens you could be in an abusive relationship, you know, where that got you down. You could be dealing with, smoking cigarettes may lead to cancer. And so now you're battling. When we have to understand we're in not only the physical, but we're in the spiritual. And will being one of those spirits, one of those principalities, one of those demons, however you want to, you got to grab out and take control of will, because he's not giving himself over to you. You got to do what Saturn or Satan is trying to get you to do. You got to set some boundaries up. You might have to get some help. But you got to do what you got to do to overcome, to get back in line. It's straight a battle. That's difficult. I'm there with you. Oh my God, am I there with you? I sit up and like, oh, well, this is my last cigarette. I'm not going to smoke another. Give me 20 minutes. Okay, now this is the last cigarette. I ain't smoking another. To get grip of that will is truly a challenge. And this is what I'm saying. This is the spiritual battle. Okay, I have a few others that are here. I'll just read them. I'm not going to go into detail about them. But these are just the name. We're in because we're dealing with the spiritual realm now. And we are I'm talking about energies about heavenly bodies that exist, that influence us. They are rulers, or they have some type of influential power over us humans. And it's Vesta, Juno. We have Sirius, Pallas, and now and Charon. Now I'm going to go into Lilith. Lilith historically was known to be Adam's first wife. If you're familiar with the story, it was Adam's first wife. She refused, they say, to submit to him, and she wouldn't lay beneath him. She was a rider, and Adam didn't like that, so he had to get rid of her. But that was all right with her because she was the wild girl. She was the girl gone wild, and that's what Lilith is in either male or female child. It's your feminine energy expressing itself without boundaries or limits or anybody, especially masculine energy, to say do or don't do. What? She does her own thing the way she wants to do it. She was wild and free. She is a woman without a shirt. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what Lilith does. And so she has that influence in our world as well. We have the sun, and the sun is the spirit or a ruler of authority. It's not just authority, but it's your ego. You know, you can have an ego that's totally blown out of proportion, right? You can have unmerited pride, right? Yeah, okay. It is our energy level, our vitality, our stamina. Now, you know, if you got too much stamina, too much energy, you can get in trouble if you don't direct it the right way. If you don't have enough, if the sun is denied you, if the energy source is denied you, you can't move. Then, you know, that can lead to depression, right? A lack of sun, a lack of energy, a lack of enthusiasm or excitement. So that's another one. Next we have is Uranus. Uranus is like a lightning bolt. Sudden events, sudden knowledge. This was one that got me when I was very young. My eyes were suddenly open to something that wasn't nice. Not at all. And that shift, that changed and shifted my whole world up until this day. And so, okay, Uranus could have came and enlightened me or you or whoever in a way that was very positive and forward moving in your life. But it can also come, this is what I'm getting, it can come bring some stuff your way. This is the Tower card in tarot. It can bring something your way that takes you years and years to be restored from. What? These are the rulers. Understand? We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against principalities. We wrestle against principalities, powers, and rulers from the dark side. We have Neptune, and Neptune is this spiritual. It could be the spiritual opening. Remember I talked about in the second part about the cord, the connection, the biblical cord to the Most High. It's nebulous. It's out there. And so Neptune has the ability to bring you closer to God, to open you up and make you susceptible to the transmissions that he tries to send. On the negative side, Neptune can make you just the opposite. Be disconnected, so clouded, so what is it called? Rose-colored glasses, where you're not seeing things clearly. You're lying to yourself. You're not really lying to yourself. You got something influencing you not to see clearly, not to think clearly, to be lied to. Have you ever had somebody lie to you? You sitting up like, why ain't lying to me? They know I know the truth. For real though? You expect me to believe that? Oh my God. Well, it's because of the Neptune. Deception. Deceiving. Yeah. Oh, wow. It has to, I mean, it sounds crazy, but it is what it is. And I go back to the birth chart, because that birth chart dictates our life, how people will respond. Neptune can be that 7 of Swords card with somebody, the man sneaking away with 5 of the swords, 2 on the ground, he's sneaking away with 5, lying, deception, sneak card that they talk about. That can have something to do with Neptune. You know, that birth certificate can have Neptune in your 7th house. I mean, it's more, I'm just trying to throwing things out there that say there's deception in the relationship. So all the rest of my life I'm going to have a bunch of deception, confusion, or chaos in the relationship. If it line up, bold. But if it lines up right, then I can know that I'm going to have something like a spiritual love. Isn't that interesting? Dictating what goes on. We have Pluto, the transformative planet that changes things. It's power struggles. You ever wonder why the hell I'm always into with somebody? Power struggles in order to set dominance, or so that you can transform or change something. I know you get tired of fighting. God dang, it's nuclear power blowing some stuff up. Come on now. And the last one is the shadow planet, which really doesn't exist. It's Ketu, and that's the opposite or the counterpart to Rahu, the demon of extremes. We have Ketu. Wait, this motherfucker ain't satisfied with nothing in the world. Not a thing. Don't make him happy. Been there, done that. But he has the potential to open you up to spirituality, into God. Because you just don't want nothing of this world no more. You know? Now, I want to talk about some demons that were that have been mentioned in the Apocryphon in John. Still dealing with John. And these demons, it mentions, now check these out. These are some exciting demons. These are the ones. And mind you, I want you to understand that there are as many principalities, rulers, powers, demons, and angels as there has been human beings on this earth. But they don't die. They multiply. Us? They don't die, but they multiply. We get back there later. Okay, now these are some demons that we know well, but we didn't know they were demons. We did not know that. To read this, and I was like, ooh, for real? And it's 4 demons that they named in this. I mean, they named the others, but these are the 4 that I was like blown away because I never looked at them as such. I knew they had I was suspicious, I'll say that. So anyway, these demons produced, this is what the demon, remember they got jobs. So these demons produce, or they make happen, passions. Well, Nancy, passion is a wonderful thing. I would think so. But what they say, do everything in moderation. Passion get out of control. You know, that fire start burning, catch on to something else, catch on to some oil or something real flammable. It's hard to put out, you know. So passion, the demon creates this passion, and passion out of control. Now we're talking about bottomless pits of things and things going out of control, uh, like a forest fire. What it does, it causes distress. You're so passionate and you constantly going and you're not being fulfilled. You got distress. You see somebody else giving it, your passion, somebody else getting it. It causes envy. It causes jealousy. It causes grief, vexation, discord, cruelty, worry, and mourning. Okay. The demon goes and he produces pleasure. Oh, Nancy, pleasure is good. Whew. We love pleasure. Me too. But we talking about things getting out of control, like a wild forest fire, a fire burning on some oil, something that's hard to extinguish, and bottomless pits. And what pleasures does, it said the primary thing, the pleasures, if your pleasures are constantly fulfilled and you're never ever being told no, constantly getting what you want, you full, because pleasures are at hand for you, that it ends up being unmerited pride. You somebody special. Unmerited pride. And from unmerited pride, it says much evil will prevail. Much evil will be born. Wow. Okay, so these demons are out here. And so now this demon produces desire. Well, Nancy, desire is good. I like desire. It's great. I admit, I love desire. But, again, it's out of control. Wild forest fire. You can't extinguish it. We're having difficulty too. So you got a desire for something. I desire to be famous. And I'm going to do everything I can to be famous. I'm going to trip somebody, cut somebody, murder somebody. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. But of course, first you start off like, okay, I got to make myself look right. I got to have the right shape. And I got to take these photos, these profile photos. I got to go to these interviews or auditions, whatever the case is. You step by step, trying to get to that level of fame and recognition. But when you done exhausted everything across the board, trying to get there, crashing parties you shouldn't be at, you weren't invited to anyway, and everything just keep going against you. Remember, your will ain't the same will as God. So you did everything. What ends up happening with desire? Then anger sets in, fury, bitterness, outrage. How dare they not invite me? After all the work I have done, after all the dedication, after all the fasting, after all the training, after all the auditions, after that fabulous work I did there, and then dissatisfaction. All right, demon, go and create some more babies. And the next baby is fear. This demon creates fear. Oh, we can't stand fear. I can't. But it comes. It's real. It's a real spirit. And that spirit of fear brings horror, flattery. You so fearful. Oh, okay, I'm like those that are afflicted by Venus. Am I pretty enough? Am I not? Oh God, what do people think of me? How do they see me? First come along, oh, you're absolutely beautiful. When you've manipulated your face so to the point it start looking like the creature from the lagoon, and you, oh, I'm pretty. Okay, well, you can have my car. Things like that. It get crazy, and with fear comes suffering. Getting your face chopped on. Just one example. Fear brings suffering and shame. Because the truth of the matter is, those videos I've seen on YouTube where they're talking about extreme plastic surgery or plastic surgery gone wrong, that kind of thing. That they end up walking around like they've hit an all new plateau on beauty that nobody ever saw or recognized before. But now you'll recognize it because I, them, not me, possess it now. But the truth of the matter inside is shame. That's not what they were going after. It's shame. And we as humans, I bring that up because we as humans, we try to act one way on the outside like it's okay. It's okay. But the truth of the matter, in the inside, we have shame. We have worries. We have outrage. We have bitterness. These are the spirits we are allowing to settle in on us. Understand, we don't just live in the physical. We live in the spiritual world. We got to learn how to fight back. We have to learn how to fight back. Now, let me see if I can fit this in here. And so this one won't be as long, I don't think. Okay, I wanted to talk about pleasure and desire. Going back to those would be under, powers. They have power. You know, desire has power to push you. Pleasure has power to do something. And okay, so, and these are just the things that I'm looking at through the book. But if you look at your world at large and really start identifying the hidden that exists, you know, need is one. In the Bible, and this is a scripture I should have pulled up, but it says, if your eye offend thee, pluck it out. You know, if your hand offends you, cut it off. Because these are, again, they have spirit in them. Your eyes, your body going this way, your eyeballs going that way. Looking at something you shouldn't be looking at or entertaining. And what it's saying is, get that stuff under control. It's not okay. Don't think that is okay. It is a spirit. It is something from the dark side. It's something. This is a spiritual battle. Your flesh body going this way, but the spirit of your eyes got you looking back over your shoulder at something. Or the spirit have you looking back, worrying about somebody coming after you, but your body headed this way. Spiritual battle. I want to talk a little bit about drugs, you know, and pleasure and desire. Now, when you take drugs, it confuses, I believe, this is a personal opinion, it confuses the spirit. You know, remember, the spirit is what reports back to God. I'm doing good. You know what I'm saying? It connects into everything. I'm doing good. You know, when you get high, you taking some crack, some heroin, some cocaine, some weed, whatever your thing may be. If you know somebody that got that thing, I don't know. But it confuses the body and the soul and the spirit. Because, number one, when you take it, you hit this utopia, this feeling, I understand, of it's all good. I'm in heaven. But the truth of the matter, you are not. You're in a low vibrational plane where you are walking through the valley of the shadow of death. And the message is being sent out that I'm okay. You're not okay because you are busy, literally at that time, walking through the valley of the shadow of death. And the death and the demise of your physical body, which has your soul entombed in it, will be laid down to rest and separated from the Most High. Now that's why Jesus Christ existed, because he had to go down and get the keys of death and unlock your tomb so you wouldn't be locked away from the all, so that that portion of him could be absorbed back into him. But those drugs, I'm telling you, that's how demons work. Those drugs, it's a pleasure and desire. Let me massage you with this physical world and all its wonders and pleasures. Let me keep you enticed and allured by it. And don't pay your spirit no attention. Make you think everything okay. But I'm after something much more priceless than even your physical body. I'm after your soul. You know? But you go ahead and enjoy that over there. It's the old magician's trick. The trick is taking place here. But the trick is taking place here. But the actual magic is going on back here. So you go ahead and you keep on doing your thing that brings you pleasure and desire. I don't care if it's sex, sex addiction, food addiction. I don't care what it is. Any obsessive thing, anything that keeps you from taking care of your temple or keeping you detached from the all is what sin is. And you can keep on doing it because the thing of it is, it's so good. I can't think of one thing in this world that didn't make it feel good. But the overall outcome was death. If you ran the storyline, it was nothing but death, destruction. It says that Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And a lot of the things, you run it up, it ended up in kill, steal, or destroy. At the time, it felt so good, and it was so good. Oh my God, it was so good. I didn't want to stop eating it. I didn't want to stop smoking it. I didn't want to stop sexing it. I didn't want to stop shooting it. Not me, but I'm just saying us. We in it to win it. I don't care if it's you going after your career. Oh, fame. It was so good I had to keep going after it. By any means necessary. By any means necessary. But the real magic was happening down here. And so, just talking about how spirit, I'm trying to get you to understand how these spirits are working on us. And how the spirits here are interacting in the physical world. They're manipulating circumstances. You looking here in the physical, and there's a bunch of shit going in the spirit. And you think that's between it, you and your soul, is what's between it. That's what it's all about. Keeping you held hostage and bound and blinded with rose-colored glasses on. To keep you from realizing who you are, your purpose, and how to get back to the all, how to be absorbed in the all, how to be re-educated. I know I done got off track. So, I'm just going to read this. These are real messy notes because I'm almost at the end. Okay. Spirit works is what I have. So what we as humans are left with is the awareness and knowing of the physical. All pleasures, all pains. Because again, you can get caught up in pains too, right? We get lost here. While the battle still rages on in the spiritual world. Understand this. The spiritual world, some of those things I told you about, some of those spirits, principalities, and rulers I talked about, and so many more. The spirit world knows no sleep or rest. No need to worry about food or clothing or shelter or illness like we do. None of the maintenance required to sustain the existence of the physical body as we do. No need for comfort as we do. Spirits are pure energy with an unyielding, specialized focus in some field to kick your ass. Okay, misguide you, mislead you, whatever. Okay, to band together in order to bring about the desired outcome. And what is the desired outcome? To keep you from all. To keep you from remember, flesh is temporary. When we vacate this flesh body, but the soul is eternal. And they want the outcome of keeping that eternal soul separated from the all, getting what is rightfully his. What else does this say? Yeah, I was just saying that they don't have any other task. They specialize in this. And let me see. While humans are burdened with maintenance of self and others, trying to finish first in the rat race of life, and not giving adequate time and energy to focus on their spirit. Again, the physical is temporary and the spirit is indestructible. Now, it is something else that I wanted to deal with. These are the last little notes. So it is just going to be quick and to the point with these. I talked a little bit about drugs. Again, this is a note that I'm going to have to read because it's not making sense to me as I read it to myself. Some of the other influences in the material world that redirect our focus, that you don't realize what's going on and have the ability to identify if you are on the right path, both spiritually and physically. Yeah, I kind of went over that. Okay. Now, I did want to talk about war. You know, where does war come from? War, okay, remember early on in the video I talked about how you can fall in love with this physical realm. It has so many pleasures. It does. And they're so alluring and they're so comfortable. And you can get to that place where this physical world, all right. I talked about the elite class. And the elite class wanted to, or they did, manipulate or bamboozle the majority of humanity in doing their work and their bid to harvest the natural resources, the pure wealth, life-sustaining substances of this world and hand it over to them to put into vaults, to build a legacy for them, abundance for themselves and a legacy for their children and grandchildren. And so what ends up happening, we have wars. We have social status wars. And I say social status wars, that's just me and you and whoever fighting. Like, why? Because we're trying to get the materials out of this world. I'm fighting you for $1. I'm killing you over a cup. I'm doing because I want to be okay, and I think this cup gonna make me be okay. This cup gonna make me be okay, so I'm gonna kill you over it. And this cup make me better than who you are. A car, a house, a job, some clothes, some jewelry. I repeat, this cup, a car, a job, what I say, some clothes and some jewelry. Now my question to my people is, does any of that keep you alive? Does any of that sustain this suit? Does any of that open your connection up with the Most High? Social status, now come on, stop. Beauty and fame. Is that opening up your connection with the Most High? Is that sustaining your suit? Because a lot of what we do and fight for actually is destroying us. Destroying us from within. You understand? If it ain't helping sustain this for its appointed time, if it's not getting us re-educated and moving us back to the all, it's a bunch of bullshit. This is a PG video, but it's a bunch of bullshit. I'm going to go up now. Now we have global wars. Now when you start messing with global wars, you starting to include that body of elites. They are fighting. We go to war. We sign up for the military. God bless our soldiers. But we sign up to defend these wealthy folks' legacy. That's wrong. You know, it's wrong. And the wars are because they're fighting over the spoils of war. They're not fighting over this glass. They're not fighting over no damn clothes. They're not fighting over no jewelry or no fame. You don't even see these people. They done hired our sons and daughters to go out and fight. We don't know how most of these folks look. What they are fighting over is life-sustaining materials. Now, here you go. Have you ever noticed with the one thing they after is to learn how to conquer death? Why do they want to conquer death? Because once they can conquer death, if they could conquer death, that means that they can live here on this motherfucker with all the natural resources that sustain this physical body. Therefore, they can engage in the pleasures. See, they learn how to manipulate and bend those spirits. I can live on this motherfucker forever and enjoy all the pleasures and reach all my desires and lusts. And it don't matter how low down and dirty and grimy that good life get. They can have it once they learn what is required to be cut out. They got all the rest of this. And so all that oil and all the minerals and all the metals and all the precious stones and all the water and all these things that make our planet what it is here to sustain us. And they got it. And they're fighting globally over who's going to control it. Who's going to take over the world. Who's going to live forever on this plane. Okay. So that says then, they give less than a fuck about God. They give less than a fuck about the Most High, the All. They don't want to be absorbed back up into Him, because that you have to relinquish. You have to release this physical world. It was only for an appointed time. They don't want it. So it says, if I can conquer death, because remember, God sent His Son Christ to get you out the tomb, the death, right? If they can conquer death, they saying, that's trying to conquer death. Saying, I don't need God, I don't need Christ, I already conquered it. I'm staying in this realm, and I'm gonna enjoy everything here, and I'm gonna rule it. And I'm gonna have a bunch of slaves. Anything I let live is gonna be my slave. Okay. Now, let's talk about the universal wars in the universe out here. What is the war over? Just what I was talking about. I don't want to go up there. I got this under control. I can live here forever. Universal war said, no, that ain't how it's supposed to be. You gonna come home. You gonna be absorbed. You are there for an appointed time. Here we have our universal war. Your soul coming back to where it belongs. You are not going to become your own God and create your own kingdom and do as you please. You ain't going to tell your Creator what's going to happen. He done told you what's going to happen. And herein lies the war. Okay. You got to remember that on the physical plane, these elites, as I'm about to move into witchcraft, magic, occult, and terror, have learned to bend and work with these spirits. They understand what they are and what they're about. They understand that our thinking is higher than theirs. That's why we public enemy number one. You know what I'm saying? And they got that. So again, we're dealing with the universal battle, the universal wars, and not wanting to release the physical world, because upon overcoming death, we have two different kingdoms now. And we have this, the all God was saying that's not going to be the case. That's not the story I wrote. That is not my thought I brought into existence. Trust and believe. All you will bow down before me. All you will be absorbed back up into me. Okay. Now, doing this, doing all these different wars, the social war, the global war, and the universal war, it's people that get caught and don't understand that we live in both the physical and the spiritual realm. Sometimes our lives does line up with the will of God, and it's easy. And other times we have those whose lives do not line up with the will of God. A lot of crossroads, a lot of obstacles, a lot of squares. a lot of difficulties to work through. And we don't learn how to manipulate this physical, low vibrational world to our benefit. The magician. So now I'm moving into the last and final phase of the spiritual battle series. And that has to, before I move into the last and final phase of this video, is I want to talk about, I had mentioned early on about the Illuminati, because I hear a lot of Illuminati on YouTube and in the urban setting and stuff, and I want to shine light on the Illuminati. This is part of everything I was just talking about. The Illuminati is about, and I'm just going to give one example because the video is getting long again, and it's the music industry. And the music industry, the dark forces, again, manipulate everything. They created a kingdom. One kingdom is the music industry. It's lots of them, you know. It's a whole lot of them. But the music industry is a popular one. And the music industry, remember how I was saying the magic going on here, but the real magic going over there. So while this magic is going on over here, the real thing about soul and the real universal battle, we got this live in the 3D. The music industry is one of them. And what does the music industry do? Remember, we were talking about envy being aroused and stuff. Well, that's basically what it does. They have these big idols, you know, before you, all the glitz and glamour and beauty and promises of luxury, wealth, being famous, being liked, being loved, having fans, money, living a life, popping the bottles, the whole thing. Having the most pretty babies, having a baby and coming out. I will stand up, but I'm scared. I'm going to scare you. I will stand up but having babies and still coming out with a Coca-Cola bottle, not what I got, a beer belly and a batch of french fries or something. I don't know what I got left with, but you can go have a baby and come out still looking like a Coca-Cola bottle, looking like a goddess, smelling good, looking good, wearing the latest fashions. Oh my God, is what you see in the music industry. And that music industry stretches out into movies. You know, I should say maybe the entertainment industry. You know, it reaches out. And what is it? Something to, what is it called when something is to, you know, get your attention, draw your attention. And remember, we live in an interactive space, matrix, and it gets you involved in it. So you ain't got time to look at nothing else, or you're not looking at nothing else, or you're not paying attention, or you're not learning what is real. You know, what's really going on. That your very soul lays in the balance, that your own flesh body lay in the balance. So now you got this entertainment industry, the music industry, all the glitz, glamour, all that fabulous lifestyle, and you're looking at, these are idols. The Bible talk about these are idols. This is one set example of these idols before you. Get your eyes with stars and like, yeah, I want to be like that. And so now you're ready to change your appearance. You ready to get the nose jobs, cheek lips. You ready to bleach your skin, cut your hair, weave your hair, shave your hair, bind your body. You know, you ready to fuck everybody because you know they got them sex tapes out there. You know, this is how you get popular. So it edges you on to do things that are not healthy for you, that are self-destructive. You know, because you're trying to reach for this particular God's image, this idol's image. That is not reality. You were given and granted your reality at birth, and you were to take care of it. Either the spirits got you to walk down the wrong path, and therefore it ended up bringing about some undesired outcome. But at some point in time, something may have happened that you may have decided, well, I'm going to, again, have my ribs removed because my waist must be a 26. And now you're sick, you know. But it's all because of those spirits playing you. You know, you're not knowing what are spirits. You know, and so I brought up the Illuminati because that's where the spiritual world is playing with the physical world. They interacting all to get you to get caught slipping. Get caught slipping. And so they're aware that you're really not paying attention to the spiritual realm. They know that. So it's like not paying attention to the spiritual realm. Good, you're not looking over here. But I do know you're paying attention in the physical realm because you're interfacing, you're interacting with it. So I have to manipulate how you interact with it. Illuminati. You know, I gotta watch how you think. I gotta make you think a certain way. I gotta make you focus a certain way so that you won't be really focusing on what's really going on. Ride the wave with me. Okay, the last little thing that I want to talk about, and this is the closure, is working with the spirits. You know, I was raised in a culture and in a religion that, oh, you don't do that. I'm still learning. But I had a real battle coming to deal with terror. Oh, I went through some stuff spiritually and physically. But I had too many questions. And so I had to do a lot of studies to get to the point that I could even do it. I was so guilty. I felt so guilty. And I was so afraid for my very soul. But this is where I am now. The tarot cards, this is my perspective, is that when you start dealing with tarot cards, as well as witchcraft or magic or occult and other things, you know, palmistry and astrology and all these different things, it's because a person has a traveled journey and their life experiences this is my case, led you to this, understanding that these things are real. And if our thinking is higher than those dark forces thinking, our thinking is higher. What they have on us is that they are still in the spirit, and therefore they're older than time. So they got a lot of game. Where we are just probably as old in spirit, but we in this physical body with forgetfulness. You understand? So their game is they still in the spirit, ain't nothing been disruptive. We in the physical. Now we bother with all the physical shit and having to maintain ourselves in this life. Then we're under forgetfulness. We still spirit, not attending to it. But we are higher thinkers than themselves. Lord Jesus, let me calm down. Give me a minute. So, you know, you get it to a point on the journey and learning and becoming awakened that you think higher than them, that you were once spirit as well as you are physical, understanding all the dynamics of that and what we've gone over, and there's more, is that how can you can connect with the spiritual world. Remember, Orlean, you connect with the spiritual world, and if you're a higher thinker, and if you were once a part of that spiritual world, can't you too, like the elite, be in circumstances and situations, the magician, in your favor? What, don't that make sense? That's where I'm coming to. That's the crossroad I'm at now on my journey. To know something about me, that's the crossroad I'm at now. You know, you have to look for the positive, and you have to look to the negative. Okay, so you want to work. It's about works and manipulation in the spiritual realm. And here I will say, herein lies the danger. Because remember, these spirits is old as time. They ain't worried about no clothes, no shoes, no food, no nothing. They've been doing spiritual stuff as long as you've been here on this earth, plus however long they existed. You know what I'm saying? So, and now you, however long you didn't exist in the spirit, now here in the physical, you got to know what you're messing around with. So yes, there's a danger. As religion had taught me, as my upbringing taught, there is a danger. Proceed with caution. Plugging is dangerous. So you really got to, this is where I am, really, really study. Get to an understanding. This is the next level. Understanding that this is becoming enlightenment on who I am and what am I capable of. How can I defend myself when the dark forces come? Put on all the full armor of God. The full armor of God now. Put it on. Okay. I already talked about how the elite have mastered themselves. And the last thing that they want to do is conquer death. Because they've mastered the rest of what I'm talking about. They want to conquer death now. And there is the onset of the universal war. The war between good and evil, you know. The war between God and Satan. They want to conquer death. Pay attention. They have cloning. They have 3D structuring, cloning. They're doing everything. They're looking to conquer death. They're exploring the DNA, the chromosomes. You know, because they're trying to find about that autogene, how we replicate. They're trying to take out the sick cells because they want the body to stay. Because remember, it was built to last. Built to last. So if it's built to last and you're taking care of it, all thing you got to do is conquer death. Then you got this world. You got this kingdom. You know what I'm saying? But what you are doing is denying or rejecting your creator. Yeah. I think after all this time, I've covered as much as I can on the spiritual battle. I hope you hung in there and hung in here and rolled the wave with me at Can Angels Fly 1970. Until next time, from Nancy.